Tenku no Toma or Rowen of Strata from Ronin Samurai Troopers or Ronin Warriors. This figure was made by Bandai Spirits, part of their Bandai Armorplus line of figures by Tamashii Nation. Now I have both the Sentinel version and the Bandai version. Before I continue, please hit the like button, please subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and don't forget to check out my blog at otakusen.com. Right now, I am covering Uncle from Another World, and there's a host of different animes that's coming out later this year in the fall, and I will be covering that, like Mob Psycho, Spy Family, Bastard, Chainsaw Man, My Hero Academia. There's so many good anime that's coming out this fall, and I'm really excited to check it out. So yeah, let's get into this video. I picked up this figure from hobbygenki.com. This figure cost me 11,890 yen. I paid DHL shipping for 3,290 yen for a total of 15,180 yen or $112.36. It shipped out on Thursday, July 28th and arrived on Friday, July 29th. I think they did accidentally ship FedEx instead, but I don't have any complaints as long as it wasn't EMS or slower shipping. This is a small little issue, but it's not really an issue. I've had a generally positive experience with hobbygenki.com. If I had any problems or issues, I had a majority of it be resolved or they fixed whatever it needed to be fixed. But yeah, their Twitter and their customer service is pretty fast to respond. I like them, and I'm going to continue buying stuff from them until otherwise. They are my go-to for these Bandai and Armorplus figures. When buying from Japan, I feel really safe buying it there. They are also MyFigureCollection.net partners, which is just like another layer of trust that makes, us consumers feel that much more at ease. Overall, I do recommend hobbygenki.com. When the shipment came, it came in really good shape. It came wrapped around the FedEx wrap over a cardboard box. The inside packaging was tightly and neatly packed. The figure box looked to be in mint condition when I opened it. Like the other Armorplus boxes, I really like the skinnier design than the Sentinel ones. I like the gold foil kanji and all the colors and stuff that they do with the design. It's just a really nice, sleek design that doesn't take up much space to store. I've always liked that the box comes with its own brown Bandai box. Weirdos like myself like to preserve the quality of the box as much as I can, and the extra Bandai cardboard box does that. Opening the box, it comes with two plastic containers that holds all of the pieces into place. It comes with a manual to help put together the figure, and if you guys don't want to see me assemble this figure, you can skip this whole next portion because I'm going to put together and assemble this whole thing. Alright, welcome to the assembly portion of the video. For this first assembly, we are going to be doing the seated pose. So we'll do that first and then we'll build something like that after. Alright, for the first step, all they want us to do is take off the head for the first step. So got our little seated dude here, and it should just pop off. Step 2, body armor. There's an under piece and then there's the breastplate that kind of goes over it. Looks like these are the two pieces. And it looks like right here you should be able to just kind of unlock it. So both sides, it kind of looks the same, so I kind of just went with the side where the locking is actually on the back, which makes a lot more sense. You can see the little lock right here. So you just kind of clamp it together. Then you got the blue armor breastplate back plate thing, and it just goes straight over. Step 3, it looks like we just want to lift up the arms. So here we're just gonna attach the arms. Step 4, we're gonna put on the piece where all the fake arrows comes out of. Kind of see there's a little peg piece, it just goes straight in. And it should snap into place. I was kind of scared because it felt a little bit unnatural to push this all the way in, but if you just push it in just a little bit more, it'll snap right onto place. And now for step 5, we're gonna put on those hip plates. This is probably where most people have their issues, is usually the hips related. So we're gonna put this together and see how that goes. So here are the two hip pieces. The skinnier piece is gonna go in the front. So on the back, there's a peg hole, and then this piece it goes underneath the armor. So you want to be careful to get, you don't want to get this piece to go over it, to go over the armor. You want to get this piece to go under. And then it latches on pretty easily. There's another peg hole, right? There's another hole there. On this hip piece, you kind of want to get it to latch on there too. So as I put in like the front piece around his waist area, there is a little hole, but I couldn't really hear a snap. But I assume it's in the hole. Because the sides, you want to check to make sure the sides are like perfectly closed, because when you do put on the hip armor, if the side parts of the armor is kind of loose or kind of off, when you put on those side armor hip pieces, they tend to fall off and they become loose, or you're gonna have a lot of difficult time, like, you know, trying to maneuver it around. But this is on the sitting down pose, so we're not really gonna have that issue. Obviously it's sitting down. So we got on the hip pieces. Now we're going to put on all the leg pieces onto his body. So you got the hip, the knee, the kind of the shin area, and then the feet. At the very, very bottom, it has an L there. So make sure you put the L means left for the left side of his body. Yep, so this part of the assembly is kind of hard to see. What is on there, it latches on. So you kind of just want to put it at an angle to get it to fit on there. So I kind of just push that piece a little bit down so you can kind of get it at a good angle to push it in there. And for the shin piece, it'll have like a little L, so you know that goes on the left side. And I just want to put it at an angle. Same thing with his knees. It'll say L or R on it, and you just align it up. Interesting, for the left knee, I'm having trouble just pushing it all the way in, but I guess it kind of just goes like that. Same thing for the right side, just align the holes correctly. And then for his feet, I don't really see an L or R, so it looks like it'll probably fit on either one, so it doesn't really matter. And then it all just kind of snaps on. Step 7, we're going to put on the arm piece, and then we're going to put there. The right one has a different little armor piece for his right arm or right hand. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. So it's this piece right here. Same thing for his arm. It has a little L, so L for the left side. Then now for step 8, we're gonna put on the shoulder pads and his head armor. You can see here it has the little L on the shoulder. Then the right side, same thing, because you could kind of move this up, which really helps, up to kind of adjust it to help guide it into the shoulder. So Bandai Armorplus, it gives us 2 different kind of helmets to kind of place it on there with the faceplate armor or a no faceplate armor. We're going to put this one onto this head. Now we have the back piece of his armor, and then the head just kind of slides in there like that. This just goes straight over. It closes really simply. And the last step, step 9, we're going to put on his bow. All right, so you just put it on there like that. It should just stay there, or you could kind of slide it like that, and then there it will hold it in place. All right, so now we are going to disassemble this, and then we are going to put the armor on the figure. So I got everything off of the body, and for the first step, we're gonna take off all the armor parts off of the figure. And it looks like it wants us to put on a new neck. Had to do a little bit off screen. It takes a bit of strength to stick the neck back into the body. All right, so we got everything off of the body. So first step two, we're gonna put back on the body armor, and then we're gonna put on those waist hip pieces. This body armor right over the head, and that just slips on. We got the waist. Remember this piece right here, it just snaps on. At least it's supposed to snap on. Boom. Step three, we're gonna put on those side hip pieces. And these side pieces, it's hard to get it, show it on camera, but yeah, it just takes a little bit of time to put it in. So just a little tip on these hip pieces, just bend this part out. Just bend this out as far as possible. The right side of the body, we got a nice little clicking sound, so it's in place. Now that we got the hip pieces on, let's go for step 4 and put on all the leg pieces. And step 5, this is where it's going to get kind of funky, but we're going to put on all the arm and the shoulder pieces. And the way I want him constructed is I want him to hold the bow and the arrow. So I'm going to go and switch out the hands as well. Hand plates. Match up the holes and snaps on. And for the shoulder plates, you can see here, you can adjust this. So you want to stick this hole out a little bit more to make it easier to pop it on. And it slips on. Same thing to the other side. Slides on. So for step 6, we're going to switch heads. So his hair comes completely off. We're going to switch face plates as well. We're going to go for the more angry looking face. Here you have the back of the armor and it just slides in. And just take the front part of the helmet and just put it back on. I was kind of scared a little bit putting on his head because I was scared I had to use like too much force, but if you just push it against your chest and kind of like push it in, it'll just kind of slide in. And it looks like it's in good enough and it moves around okay. For step 7, I'm going to go ahead and put on that back piece, but I'm going to put the arrow into his hand instead. And for the bow, make sure the pointy part is sticking below. This is where I kind of had issues putting together the Sentinel one because I kind of broke his hand in half. So I don't want to make the same mistake with this one. So let's see how I can do this. Looks like for the Armorplus one, his hand is a little bit more loose, so you'll be able to kind of stick it into his hand a lot better. And you have the arrow right here. You can see in his hand right here, there's like a little hole for us to kind of stick it in. All right, this is the best I can do for right now, but I'm gonna keep trying to adjust it to make it look as natural as possible. Everything, this assembly was a lot more smoother. I think it just comes with experience. And it doesn't look like any of the parts are off or anything. Everything fit pretty well. Putting on the weapon, the hands were loose enough to fit it on there without having to pry open the hands or anything too much. So all in all, this figure was the easiest time I had to put together the figure. Putting it together, another Ronin Warriors figure for these like the sixth time, and playing around with it for weeks and months now. I've gotten a pretty good grasp of all the little mistakes and all the little details around what people generally have issues with. Again, this figure specifically was the easiest of all the builds I put together, and that includes the Sentinel ones. The hip and waist armor pieces that people generally have issues with, I've pretty much been able to put it together a lot more easily. And I wouldn't say it's like super easy, but it can be done without as much fiddling around, because I know that it will fit if I do it correctly. So who knew? Practice makes perfect. These things are just not going to be perfect. After playing around for months now, I got a pretty good feel for it, and this one was the easiest one because of the experience and because I think they manufactured this one really well. And then the mobility and like the flexibility of the figure, it moves really smooth. A lot of time when you lift up the arms of these figures with the armor on, the armor falls off. But I didn't really have those kind of issues with it. But I wasn't really trying to like move it up and down. Playing around with this figure though, it just moves well. And I just haven't had issues with the pieces falling off. And you can tell that they adjusted some of the parts to make the armor more flexible, not hit the body of the figure. I couldn't quite get the figure to look as natural as the Sentinel one with the bow and arrow in his hand. That is my preferred look for these figures, to have the armor and weapons on the figure and not on the sitting down pose one. Overall, it still looks decent, and you can pretty much put him in the same poses and the same styles as its Sentinel counterpart one. And with the aesthetics, what really stuck out to me most about this figure is that the armor was a lot more glowy or glossier than the Sai, Kento, and the Infernal armor ones. The paint looks very similar to the Sentinel ones, and even the horns on the helmet shines a little bit more than the Sentinel. This is my favorite one out of all the Armorplus figures I have so far. My biggest knock has always been the dull looking paint on these special color edition ones, these Armorplus ones. This figure, for some reason, just looks better than the rest of them. And it looks similar, a lot closer to that Sentinel version. That makes me like this figure. I do like this one, maybe slightly even more than the Sentinel one, but either way, like, they're just really close, which gets me into the debate between the Armorplus or the Sentinel ones. I just like the feel of the Armorplus builds more. Maybe I just prefer the metal pieces because it makes it feel sturdier. It's not as shaky as the Sentinel one as you're reconfiguring the pose. I must admit though, the Sentinel Ronin one looks maybe slightly better. The face does look better. It looks more natural with the bow in his hand and arrow in his hand. But after just looking at it for so long and just every day taking a peek and just looking at them, like, it's just, I don't really tell the difference anymore. I like them both, really. I think, like, because of the older Bandai versions, Armorplus versions, people might not be giving these newer Bandai Armorplus figures a chance. They are still really aesthetically pleasing, but that's just my opinion. This figure, again, might be the most glowiest. Shines more than the rest of them, which is one of the main reasons why I like the Sentinel version a little more in the looks department. I wish I had just a more intelligent and accurate description of the paint, but like glossier, glowy, shinier. Seems to just be the most simplest and best words to describe like what I'm seeing. But all in all, I like both versions. I don't think people are going to be unhappy with either. If you're buying from Japan, there's a good chance you're paying less for the Bandai versions. If you're buying domestically, the Bandai ones tend to cost quite a bit more. If you're boiling it down to cost and have to only get one of them, I would just buy whichever one is cheaper. So yeah, I have the Sage Armorplus one coming in September of this year, 2022. The Sentinel Infernal Armor is coming later this year, and the Bandai Wildfire one is coming, I think, later this year or early next year. I'll definitely be doing videos for that when I get them. So this Rowen of Strata figure, this Tenku no Toma, he's available at Hobby Genki. still, and he's still available for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. Honestly, guys, just buy it from hobbygenki.com. If you're from the US, like, if you bought it from Big Bad Toy Store, you're gonna pay an extra $80, $90, $100 more. From hobbygenki.com, I paid $112 compared to $189.99 plus shipping plus tax. So yeah, there you have it. And yeah, that is all I have to say. Don't forget to hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Comment what you guys think. And yeah, don't forget to check out my blog at otakusin.com. I appreciate you guys. Check out my other YouTube videos. And I'll see you guys on the next video.